The air in the upscale Italian restaurant was thick with the scent of truffle oil and danger. It was the black SUV, the deeply tinted windows, the man who materialized at the curb, opening the rear door. Not a professional driver with a polite smile, but a bodyguard. He was large, rigid, and had an unmistakable bulge under his jacket that was not a wallet. That's when the cheap wine Emma had been nursing tasted like fear. She wasn't just ending a date. She was in a trap. He wasn't Todd, the financially strapped, ambitious junior account manager her roommate had promised. He was Aleandro Russo, the kind of man whose name whispered through financial districts and shadowed alleyways, the kind of man who owned cities, the kind of man who killed without flinching. And he didn't just want her phone number. He wanted her. Emma was waiting, at a table for two. Nerves were a familiar accessory to her black dress, the nicest one she owned. Her blind date was 40 minutes late. Todd. She replayed her roommate Liv's reassurances. He'll be perfect for you, Emma. Super nice, ambitious. Not much money yet. Emma was nursing the cheapest glass of wine on the menu, stretching it out sip by agonizing sip. She hated feeling judged. She felt the stares from nearby tables. Soon she'd finish the glass and slink out, another dating disaster in her collection. "Sorry I'm late." The voice came from behind, deep, smooth, like aged whiskey. She turned, ready with a practiced, "No problem at all." But the words evaporated. The man standing there was an insult to the word date. He wore a black suit that cost more than her annual salary, tailored to broad shoulders and a narrow waist. His dark hair was perfect. His eyes, deep brown, were watching her with an intensity that made her skin prickle. "You're not Todd," she blurted, immediately wishing she could dissolve. A corner of his mouth lifted. "Number." "I'm not." He sat across from her without invitation. He motioned to the waiter, who materialized instantly, actually bowing. "Bring us the 15 Brunello and the chef's tasting menu." He didn't look at the menu. He didn't ask the price. The waiter hurried away. "There's been a mistake," Emma said, gathering her purse. "I'm waiting for someone else, who appears to have stood you up." His gaze swept over her, not leering but assessing. "I'm Aleandro, and you are Emma," she answered automatically. "Emma." He repeated it, tasting the syllables. He was having dinner with her. The certainty in his voice should have sent her running. Instead, she sank back into her seat. The waiter returned with a wine that she was certain cost more than her weekly grocery budget. Aleandro raised his glass. To unexpected meetings. The wine was rich, complex, not like the swill she'd been nursing. "So what do you do, Aleandro?" She tried to sound casual. "Import-export, primarily." The words rolled off his tongue with a hint of an accent she couldn't place. "Family business." "And you?" She told him she worked at a gallery. She didn't mention she was just the assistant office manager. The conversation flowed, easy and strange. He spoke with authority about Renaissance painters, global travel, and obscure architecture. He listened to her, leaning forward slightly when she spoke, genuinely interested in her opinions. "Why me?" she asked finally. The question had been simmering beneath the surface. There must be a dozen beautiful women here tonight. Aleandro set down his glass, studying her. "Beauty is common. You have something more interesting." His eyes traced the contours of her face. "You're observing everything, cataloging details, artist's eyes, and you're afraid." "I'm not afraid," she protested. "Not of me," he clarified, "of life disappointing you again. I saw it in how you held yourself, waiting for your date who never came, expecting the letdown." The accuracy of his assessment felt like a physical touch, making her shiver. Outside, rain had started to fall. "I should go." "It's late. I'll drive you home." It wasn't a question. A flutter of unease mixed with something dangerous anticipation stirred in her stomach. Before she could argue, he stood and held out his hand. His skin was warm and slightly calloused, not the soft hands she'd expected from someone so polished. He guided her toward the door. The pressure of his hand at the small of her back was light, but undeniably possessive. The maitre d' handed Aleandro an umbrella without being asked. At the curb, the sleek black SUV with tinted windows glided to a stop. The large man, the bodyguard, emerged, opening the rear door without a word. He wore an earpiece, and there it was, the bulge. She saw the gun. She froze. "Who are you, really?" Aleandro's arm tightened. "Someone who wants to see you again. Get in, Emma. You're getting wet." She should have run, should have hailed a cab and sprinted home. Instead, she let him usher her into the back of the vehicle. The leather seats were butter soft. "Tomorrow night," Aleandro said as the city lights played across his face. "Dinner again." "I can't," she lied. "I have plans. Cancel them." Her spine stiffened. "I don't take orders from men I just met." Something dangerous flickered across his face. Gone instantly. Then his expression softened. "Please, have dinner with me tomorrow. I don't even know your last name." "Russo. Aleandro Russo." The next day at work, she was a sleepwalker. She searched for his name. Nothing definitive. A surprisingly minimal digital footprint for a man of his apparent wealth. The anticipation was agony. By 6 o'clock, she'd changed clothes 5 times. At precisely 7 o'clock, her phone rang. Unknown number. "Miss Emma, your car is waiting downstairs." "My car?" She peered out the window. The same black SUV, the same impassive driver. "Mr. Russo sent me to collect you. There's been a change of plans." "Where's Aleandro?" "He had unexpected business in Miami. He asks that you trust him and come with me." Every instinct screamed danger. Every true crime podcast warned her. "Stop the car. I want to get out." "Mr. Russo was very clear about bringing you to him, miss." A text buzzed on her old phone. "Emma, I apologize for the change of plans. Important business required my attention in Miami. I've sent my plane for you. 2 hours. Dinner on the beach. Please." She stared at the screen. This was madness. This was a true crime documentary waiting to happen. "Your plane," she typed. "A Gulfstream. The pilot has filed all the necessary paperwork. All you need to do is arrive." She texted back, "See you in Miami." The jet was gleaming white. The interior was a revelation creamy leather, polished wood. The flight attendant greeted her. "Miss Walker, welcome aboard. How did you know my last name?" "Mr. Russo provided your information for the flight manifest." The message was clear. Aleandro Russo knew everything. When she stepped off the plane in Miami, he was waiting, leaning against another black SUV. No formal suit. Dark trousers, a white linen shirt open at the collar. He looked less like a mob boss and more like a predator on a tropical vacation. "You came," he said simply. "You sent a private jet. That's a difficult invitation to decline. I'm a difficult man to say no to." He reached for her hand, bringing it to his lips. "Thank you for trusting me. I haven't decided if that's trust or poor judgment yet." The restaurant was on a private stretch of beach. They were led to a secluded table overlooking the ocean. The sound of waves was the only accompaniment. She leaned forward, emboldened by the champagne and the sheer absurdity of it all. "Who are you, Aleandro Russo, really?" He studied her. "Would the truth frighten you away?" "Probably. My family has interests in various businesses throughout the East Coast and Europe. Real estate, shipping, private banking, security." He took a sip of his wine. "Some legal, some less so." "You're saying you're—" "What? A mobster?" "I'm saying my family has power, wealth, and enemies. We protect our interests, however necessary." The implication hung heavy in the air. She should have been terrified. Instead, she felt a twisted thrill. And last night, was I just in the right place at the wrong time? His expression softened. You were exactly where you needed to be. He confessed the truth. He had orchestrated the meeting. Her friend Liv worked for one of his businesses. There was no Todd. He had seen her picture. He had been watching her. You manipulated me. I created an opportunity, he countered, unapologetic. Would you have agreed to meet me if you knew who I was? What I am. No, she whispered. Then don't fault me for knowing what I want and pursuing it. His hand cupped her cheek. And I want you, Emma. Why? You could have anyone. I have no interest in vapid beauty or social connections. He traced her lower lip with his thumb. I've watched you for weeks. Your spirit, your integrity. You're real, Emma. Authentic in a way few people in my life have ever been. What happens now? Now? His eyes darkened with intent. I court you properly. I show you what life could be like with me. And you decide if you can accept what I am. What being with me would mean. And if I say no? A shadow of anger crossed his face. I'm not accustomed to hearing that word, Emma. But for you, I would try to respect it. The conversation was cut short. His phone buzzed. He checked it, his expression hardening. We need to go. Business. The drive back to the airport was tense. The romantic spell was broken. He walked her to the private jet, his hand on the nape of her neck. I'll call you tomorrow. 2 days at most. Then we'll continue this conversation. He kissed her, hard, possessive. She melted against him, her hands clutching his shirt. The next few days crawled by. Then an email. It was from his CFO, a receipt for $45,000 paid to her employer, the gallery, earmarked as the Emma Walker Professional Development Fund. Another text, check your other email, personal account. How did he have her personal email? That email contained a note from Aleandro himself. The gallery had been instructed to grant her a 3-month paid sabbatical to pursue her art. A lease agreement was attached for a loft studio in the city's arts district, paid in full for 1 year. He had effectively bought her freedom to create, all without asking. The generosity was overwhelming. The control was terrifying. She accepted the sabbatical and the studio, not as a commitment to him, but as an opportunity to reclaim herself. The studio was a converted warehouse, soaring ceilings, exposed brick, massive windows, a painter's paradise. She lost herself in the work for days. Creation poured out of her. On the 5th day, the day he was supposed to return, he was late. She painted furiously, channeling her anxiety. She woke to the soft click of the studio door. Aleandro. He looked harder than she remembered. A fresh cut marked his cheekbone. He was immaculate, but held himself with the tension of a predator. You're back. I said I would be. He took in the canvases. You've been productive. I've been free. Good. He stood before her latest piece, a cityscape where light and shadow perfectly balanced. Is this how you see it? The city? It's how I see it now. Before, everything was sharp edges and empty spaces. Now there's possibility. And us? Do you see possibility there as well? I see danger, she said honestly. I see complications. She moved closer until she could feel the heat of him. But yes, I see possibility too. You've had time to consider my offer. Not enough time, Aleandro. I can't just leap into your world without understanding what it truly means. Not the benefits, the cost. Very well. Truth. He told her everything. The family empire, the shipping, the private banking, the waste management, the territory disputes with rival families, the corrupt officials. He spoke of his father, the force of will, the strategic alliances. He spoke of the violence as a necessary tool. The threat that took him away was an attempted incursion by a rival family. I won't pretend my hands are clean, Emma. I've done things that would horrify you. I will do more, if necessary, to protect what's mine. And that would include me, she asked softly. If I accept, I become something to be protected, a weakness others could exploit. A strength, he corrected, something worth fighting for. To touch you is to invite my full retribution. And what do you expect from me? Blind obedience, loyalty, and discretion. I would not ask you to participate in what troubles your conscience. Your world would be this. He gestured to the studio, the canvases. Creation, beauty. I would keep the darkness separate, but it would always be there. The knowledge of what pays for all this. Yes, no excuses, just honesty. And what would I be to you? Your mistress? My partner? My equal in all things that matter? His hand cupped her cheek. Eventually, yes, my wife. I am possessive of what I value, Emma. I make no apologies for wanting to bind you to me in all ways possible. I need you to understand something. If I choose this, choose you, I won't be kept in a gilded cage. I won't look away from uncomfortable truths. A smile ghosted across his lips. I would expect nothing less. Your spirit, your integrity. These are what drew me to you. I can't promise forever right now, but I can promise to try, to give us a real chance. Relief and triumph flashed across his features. He pulled her against him, kissing her with a force that felt like claiming and surrender all at once. That's all I ask. Time to show you that our worlds can merge into something stronger than either alone. She melted into his embrace. The decision was made. Not with a dramatic leap, but with a series of inevitable small steps. She had mistaken him for a cheap, ordinary blind date. He had proven to be anything but. And now she was stepping willingly into his extraordinary world, eyes wide open, heart both trembling and resolute. As dawn broke, painting the studio in hues of gold and amber, Aleandro and Emma stood before her latest canvas. His arm around her waist was both support and possession. Beautiful, he murmured, like the artist herself. She turned in his arms. I'm choosing this. I'm choosing you. But I'm also choosing myself. The artist I've always wanted to be. The woman I'm becoming. They have to coexist. They will. I promise you that. Whatever came next, they would face it together. The gallery assistant and the mafia boss.